کا سلام پہنچے. میں آپ کو اس لائیو سٹریم سیشن میں, خصوصی لائیو سٹریم سیشن میں خوش آمدید کہتا ہوں. ایک خوشخبری کے ساتھ میں نے آپ کو بتایا تھا کہ ایک باقاعدہ طور کے اوپر ٹیم ہے یہاں پہ انگلستان میں, انگلینڈ میں, جہاں سے میں آپ سے بات کر رہا ہوں. لیگل ٹیم ہے. وہ لیگل ٹیم اس وقت عمران خان صاحب کی اجازت سے ان کے وکیل جو ہیں, ان کے تحریری حکم نامے کے اوپر, ان کی اجازت کے اوپر, جب وہ جیل جانے سے پہلے انہوں نے جو ہے سگنیچر کر کے اپنے جو ہے وہ تحریری جو ہے وہ اپنا وکالت نامہ جس کو آپ پاکستان میں بولتے ہیں وہ ان لوگوں کو دیا ہے. اور یہ انٹرنیشنل کورٹس کے اندر ان کے پاکستانی وکلا شیر افضل مروت صاحب جس کے اندر شامل ہیں, ان کے ساتھ مل کے آواز اگر آپ کو ٹھیک آ رہی ہے گا, ان کے ساتھ مل کے یہ کام کر رہے ہیں. اور میں اس ٹیم کا کچھ دیر میں ہمیں وہ لائیو جوائن بھی کریں گے. اس ٹیم کے ممبر عمران خان صاحب کے وکیل ہمیں جوائن کریں گے. لیکن اس سے پہلے میں آپ کو تعارف کرا دوں کہ یہ ٹیم جو ہے, اس کے بارے میں نے آپ سے پہلے بھی ذکر کیا ہے. یہ ٹیم جو ہے اس کی اپنے آپ کو یہ آپ کو اس وقت نظر آ رہا ہے اس وقت اسکرین کے اوپر, ہیومن رائٹس لیگل ایڈ فاؤنڈیشن ہے یہ, HRLAF. اور اس کو جو ہیڈ کرتے ہیں وہ ہیڈ کرتے ہیں مائیکل مانسفیلڈ. یہ کنگز کاؤنسل ہے. مائیکل مانسفیلڈ ایک بہت بڑا یہاں پہ یو کے کا ہیومن رائٹس کے اندر بہت بڑا نام ہے جی, جانا پہچانا نام ہے. مائیکل مانسفیلڈ اس کو لیڈ کرتے ہیں. اور ان کی ٹیم کے اندر اس وقت جو ہے وہ گیرتھ پیئرس شامل ہیں, جو کہ یہ لیڈنگ بیسیکلی لائرز ہیں, ہیومن رائٹس لائر ہیں, وار کرائمز کے اوپر بھی. اور یہ پاکستان میں جو مقدمات ہیں ان کو لے کے آگے ابھی جانے لگے ہیں. ان کے اوپر انٹرنیشنل ٹریبونلز کے اندر جس میں یونائٹڈ نیشنز بھی شامل ہے, اور اس کے علاوہ بہت سے ایسے ادارے ہیں جن کا ہمیں پتہ ہی نہیں, ان لوگوں کو پتہ ہے, وہ لوگ جانے لگے ہیں جوائن کرنے. اور وہ لوگ جو ہے وہاں پہ کیسز لے بھی گئے ہیں اور لے کے جا بھی رہے ہیں عمران خان صاحب کی ہدایت کے اوپر. راشد یعقوب ہیں اس کے اندر لنڈا مالوی ہیں, اور کرسٹینا بیکر ہیں. کرسٹینا بیکر بڑی مشہور, آپ کو پتہ ہے, کتاب بھی لکھی ہے, اسلام قبول کیا ہے, ایم ٹی وی کی پریزنٹر ہوتی تھی, عمران خان سے انسپائر ہو کے انہوں نے اسلام قبول کیا تھا. یہ ٹیم ہے جی, اور یہ ٹیم جو ہے باقاعدہ طور کے اوپر اس وقت یہاں پہ ایک بہت زبردست کام کر رہی ہے, جس کی وجہ سے, اور پاکستان کی ٹیم کے ساتھ ان ایسوسی ایشن کام کر رہی ہے. پاکستان سے اچھی خبریں جو ہمیں آ رہی ہیں اسلام آباد ہائی کورٹ سے, بابر ستار صاحب, رائے صاحب جو ہے وہ جرت دکھا رہے ہیں, لافیئر کام کر رہی ہے. اور انہوں نے جس طرح کے ریمارکس چندانہ گلزار کے کیس میں اور شہریار آفریدی کے کیس میں دیے ہیں, اور جس طرح کے آرڈرز دیے ہیں کورٹ کے اندر, وہ ظاہری بات ہے وہ ایک بہت بڑا پازیٹیو سٹیپ ہے. اور وہ پازیٹیو سٹیپ جو ہے وہ ہر صورت کے اندر جو ہے وہ آپ کو نظر یہ آ رہا ہے کہ لافیئر آپ کو کام بہرحال کرتی ہے. آپ کو پتہ ہے گورے کو ویسے اپنا باپ مانتے ہیں, یہ بات تو آپ کو پتہ ہے نا. تو یہ لافیئر جو اس وقت انٹرنیشنل لیول کے اوپر جا رہی ہے, چل رہی ہے, یہ اپنا بہت بڑا گہرا اثر جو ہے یہ اس کے اوپر لازمی رکھتی ہے. اور ایک سٹرگل ہے, اس سٹرگل کے اندر جیت انشاءاللہ بہر طور جیت جو ہے وہ پاکستان کی ہوگی. یہ بات بالکل اس میں سچ ہے. آڈیو گڈ ہے, آپ کہہ رہے ہیں, بہت بہت شکریہ. ہم انتظار کر رہے ہیں اس وقت راشد یعقوب صاحب کا کہ وہ ہمیں جوائن کریں. وہ اس وقت بی بی سی سے بات کر رہے تھے جب لاسٹ ہماری بات ہوئی ہے, تو اور ابھی جو ہے وہ ہمیں جوائن کرنے لگے ہیں. راشد یعقوب صاحب اس وقت بس ابھی ہمیں تھوڑی دیر میں جوائن کر رہے ہیں لائیو. اس وقت ہم ہزاروں کی تعداد میں راشد یعقوب صاحب کا انتظار ہو رہا ہے. راشد بھائی, can you join us please? All right. Yeah, I've sent you the link. Through the link, please. Thank you. We are live already. We've got thousands of you watching us already on the 5 different platforms. All right. جناب جوائن کر رہے ہیں راشد یعقوب بھائی. راشد یعقوب کا اگر میں آپ کو تعارف کراؤں تو میں صرف آپ کو اتنا بتاؤں گا کہ آپ دیکھیں یہ جو ٹیم ہے اس کے اندر راشد یعقوب جو آپ کو نظر آ رہا ہے, اس ٹیم نے آج سے پہلے کیا کیا ہے؟ ایسے ہی کہیں سے اٹھ کے آگے ہیں یا انہوں نے کوئی کام کیا بھی ہے؟ تو کچھ مطلب ان کا کام کیا ہے؟ اگر ان کے ویب سائٹ جس وقت میں آپ کو دکھا رہا ہوں HRLAF.com میں, اس میں اباؤٹ اس کے اندر آپ جائیں تو یہ اباؤٹ اس میں بتاتے ہیں کہ ہم ہیں کون. ہم ایک جو ہے وہ ہیومن رائٹس لیگل ایڈ فاؤنڈیشن ہے. پاکستان لیگل فنڈ انہوں نے ابھی لانچ کیا ہے, اور یہ اس وقت خواتین کا جو کیسز ہے خاص طور کے اوپر ڈاکٹر یاسمین راشد کا, خدیجہ شاہ کا ہو گیا, اس میں جو ہے ہماری بہنیں ہیں طیبہ راجہ ہیں, اس کے اندر سنم جاوید ہیں, اس کے اندر ڈاکٹر یاسمین راشد ہیں. اس کو یہ لوگ پرائرٹائز کر رہے ہیں. اور اس سے پہلے اگر آپ ان کو دیکھیں, ان کا کارپوریٹ سٹرکچر اور ہسٹری آپ لوگ خود جا کے دیکھیے گا, ان کے پریویس کیسز انٹرنیشنل لیول کے ہیں. انہوں نے اسرائیلی جنرلز کو اور منسٹرز کے خلاف وارنٹس, ارسٹ وارنٹس نکلوائے ہوئے ہیں, اور باقاعدہ طور کے اوپر انٹرنیشنل ان کے کام کے جو کریڈینشلز ہیں وہ بہت اسٹرانگ کریڈینشلز ہیں. ایویں ہی جو ہے وہ چھوٹے موٹے کریڈینشلز نہیں ہیں آپ کے. جو انہوں نے اپنے پریویس کیسز جو لسٹ کیے ہوئے ہیں وہ یہاں پہ نظر آ رہے ہیں. اس میں ارسٹ وارنٹ ریگارڈنگ وار کرائم کیسز اگینسٹ اسرائیلی فورن منسٹر, جو اس وقت ہے جو فورن منسٹر ہیں ان کے خلاف انہیں آپریشن کاسٹ لیڈ میں رپی زیونی جو تھی ان کے خلاف انہوں نے ارسٹ وارنٹس نکلوائے. یہ کیس انہوں نے جیتا. اس کے علاوہ ارسٹ وارنٹ انہوں نے میجر جنرل دوران الموگ, اسرائیلی ملٹری کمانڈر ہیں, وار کرائمز کے لیے جنیوا کنونشن کے اندر انہوں نے یہ نکلوائے ہیں. یہ ان کی سکسیسز ہیں جو کیسز یہ کر چکے ہیں. الحق ورسز منسٹر آف ٹریڈ اینڈ انڈسٹری کیس ہے ہیومن رائٹس کا, یہ بڑا مشہور کیس ہے جو انہوں نے جیتا ہے. سسیتا خمسویاویا ورسز رشیا, یہ یورپین یونین کے اندر بھی, یورپین کمیشن فار ہیومن رائٹس کے اندر بھی انہوں نے کیس جیتے ہوئے ہیں. ریپبلک آف یمن ورسز, اور ریپبلک کے کیسز کے اندر ریپبلک آف یمن ورسز شاید بٹ اینڈ ادرز, یہ اگر آپ دیکھیں تو اس کے اندر 10 برٹش سٹیزنز آن ڈیتھ رو ان یمن اکیوزڈ آف ٹیررزم آن فالس چارجز, ان کو انہوں نے چھڑوایا تھا. گوانٹانامو بے کے اندر بھی انہوں نے کیسز کیے ہوئے ہیں, انہوں نے ریلیز کروائے ہیں گوانٹانامو بے سے, ریلیز آف پرزنرز following rendition from Pakistan and Afghanistan and successful challenge of extradition from USA. انہوں نے جو ہے اس کے علاوہ جولیان اسانج کا, جو آپ جانتے ہیں سارے وکی لیگز والے, انہوں نے assistance with the defense of Julian Assange, the WikiLeaks founder, against international extradition warrant from USA and Sweden, جو ان کے خلاف ایکسٹریڈیشن کیس چل رہا ہے وہ بھی کرتے ہیں. راشد یعقوب ابھی ہمیں جوائن کرنے لگے ہیں تھوڑی دیر کے اندر. ہمیں بیک سٹیج میں بس ان کی اس وقت سکرین نظر آ رہی ہے بیک سٹیج کے اندر, لیکن ان کی تصویر نہیں آ رہی. تو تصویر جو ہی نظر آتی ہے ہم ان کو جوائن کرنے کی دعوت دیں گے. جو ہے وہ میں بھی اس وقت سفر کے اندر تھا, اور مجھے خبریں جو ہے ملی, بات ہوئی میری ان لوگوں سے, انہوں نے کچھ خوشخبریاں بتائیں. انہوں نے کہا کہ جو اس وقت پازیٹیو سٹیپس ہیں انٹرنیشنل لیول کے اوپر بھی اور پاکستان کے لیول کے اوپر بھی, جس طرح کے سٹیپس لیے جا رہے ہیں, ان کی وجہ سے بہت جو ہے وہ انکریجنگ نیوز آپ کو فیوچر میں آ سکتی ہے خان صاحب کی سیفٹی کے بارے میں. اور ہمارا فوکس اس وقت جو ہے وہ میں آپ کو رشد بھائی اپنے ہاتھوں سے بتائیں گے, اپنی باتوں سے بتائیں گے. معذرت چاہتا ہوں کہ یہ جو سب سے اہم ترین اس میں بات ہے وہ یہ ہے کہ رشد بھائی نے ہمیں جوائن کر لیا ہے. ویلکم ٹو دا لائیو اسٹریم. راشد یعقوب is joining us from the UK. We are live right now on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble and Odyssey, and there are thousands of people watching us. راشد بھائی مجھے ایک بات بتائیے گا, before starting anything else, I understand that اردو آپ کو آتی ہے, لیکن راشد بھائی born and brought up یہاں کے, آپ نے اتنا لاؤنس ان کو دینا ہے. راشد بھائی, خان صاحب کو جب آپ نے بتایا کہ آپ کے کیس کو ہم نے پرائرٹائز کرنا ہے, تو خان صاحب نے جواب میں کیا آپ کو کہا کہ نہیں, آپ کو جو کہا کہ جواب کیا دیا کہ پرائرٹی آپ نے کن کو دینی ہے ان انٹرنیشنل ہیومن رائٹس کیسز کے اندر, پلیز.
Well, Adil, thank you very much for giving the opportunity to cover this breaking news. I have just literally got off the legal conference call with our team of lawyers in Pakistan, including Mr. Khan's lawyer, the courageous, vociferous and giant in terms of justice which he has achieved today. That is none other than Advocate Sher Khan Marwat. This individual deserves the highest caliber of award, because only 5 days ago, Mr. Khan's principal lawyer on criminal affairs in Pakistan, his very own family member, his brother-in-law, was abducted. His brother-in-law was taken away to a dark side, and then he was shot and killed. So despite the fact that he suffered this family bereavement, he has been working night and day with our international team of lawyers, which includes such eminent names as Ben Emerson KC and the legendary lawyer Gareth Pearce, to make sure that the international legal contraventions which have taken place in the case of Madam Shandana, as well as the contraventions which have taken place under Pakistani law, which have been clearly articulated in the appeal petition by Mr. Sher Khan, those have come together in such a way that Judge Babar Sattar, again, a man who deserves to be commended at the highest level for his courage and bravery in giving justice finally to people, the civilians in Pakistan. This is a landmark judgment, because what this judgment allows us to do is understand that there is still some element of judicial process left in Pakistan.
Rashad Bhai, would you like to elaborate? Going back to the previous question, I asked you in Urdu, let me rephrase it in English. Once you were assigned by Imran Khan, and once you told Imran Khan that you are going to prioritize his personal case in the international legal arena, what was his answer?
Well, I mean, I'm just flabbergasted in relation to Mr. Khan's response. Every day I'm honored to be dealing with him as a client. We sent our legal team into the prison, and we sent our messages via his honourable wife, Mrs. Bushra. Obviously, first to give us a clear situation as to how our client is doing, what are his conditions, how is he being treated, and how is he psychologically and emotionally and physically doing. Instead of getting a report which we normally would expect of persecution, of feeling vulnerable or complaining, we got a simple instruction. As you know, as lawyers, we are unable to move until the client gives us a clear instruction. And so we've been, desperately trying to seek instructions, because he was denied the very basis of constitutional law, which is right to access his lawyer. Yeah, right at the beginning. But finally, when he broke through, and finally when we had the opportunity to get feedback, it was very interesting to note how this individual, how this man works, how his mind works. Instead of pleading a case for himself, which he's got plenty of defenses and plenty of opportunity, he gave us a very simple message. He said to his lawyers, both in Pakistan and his international legal team, he said, free the women. He said, don't worry about me. Even if I move to a category D prison, I will cope. I have my Lord with me. But when it comes to the women, the children, the oppressed, the vulnerable, those people who have no voice, those people who probably don't, people don't even know where they're being held, where they're being detained. If this can happen to a ex-prime minister with the global profile of Imran Khan, just imagine how people who are unknown and have got absolutely zero profile or zero access to finances or zero access to lawyers, how they are languishing in jails in some of these dark sites by the current Pakistan regime. So that's where, I have to take my hat off. I was rather taken aback that in terms of getting instructions to start filing here, left, right, and center to the international courts. No. Our captain, my client, Mr. Khan, his response was legendary. Yeah, take care of the women, take care of the children, and then worry about me.
Rashad Bhai, I know that your Urdu is not that good, but Khan साहब ने को हमने राशिद भाई ने और लीगल टीम ने कहा कि आपका केस टॉप लेवल पे हम बड़ा जबरदस्त उठा के लेके जाएंगे और सबसे पहले आपको हम छुड़ा लेंगे. खान साहब ने इनकार किया, नहीं, पहले मैं नहीं, राशिद भाई उर्दू में हमें बताएंगे। राशिद भाई एक दफा हमें उर्दू में बताएं, खान साहब ने जवाब में इनकार करते हुए कि नहीं मेरा केस पहले नहीं आएगा, पहले कौन आएगा, क्या कहा खान
I
साहब
mean,
ने आप लोगों को?
I'm prepared to embarrass myself for the sake of justice, and I'll attempt in Urdu. But essentially, Khan साहब का जवाब काफी simple था. उन्होंने बस एक अल्फाज में कह दिया, औरतों को निकालो पहले, औरतों को, यतीम को, बच्चे को. इन्होंने simple direction दे दी. मैं ठीक हूँ, हम ठीक हैं. हमारे
खान
पास
साहब ने कहा, रशद भाई कहते हैं अंग्रेजी में, खान साहब ने कहा कि हमने खान साहब को, इंटरनेशनल लीगल टीम ने, ये लीगल टीम जो आपको दिखा रहे हैं, ये लीगल टीम जो आपको नजर आ रही है, जिसके अंदर दुनिया के इस वक्त टॉप के जो ह्यूमन राइट्स बैरिस्टर माइकल मैंसफील्ड हो गए, गैरेथ पियर्स हो गए, राशाद याकूब खुद हो गए, लिंडा मालवी मौजूद हैं, इस लीगल टीम ने जब खान साहब को ये पैगाम दिया कि हम आपको फौरी तौर के ऊपर, आपके ऊपर कंसंट्रेट करके आपको छुड़ाएंगे, जेल से निकालेंगे, तो हमारी प्रायोरिटी आप हैं, तो खान साहब ने कहा नहीं, मैं चाहे सी क्लास से डी में भी चला जाऊं, पहली प्रायोरिटी औरतें और बच्चे हैं, उनको छुड़वाओ। ये लीडर इसको बोलते हैं, इसको बोलते हैं, आसम मुनीर मिस्री ये सुन रहा होगा, इसको लीडरशिप बोलते हैं। Rashad bhai, anything you have to say for the future strategy? Would you like to convey to hundreds of thousands of people in Pakistan?
Well, I just want to share the good news. The Mubarak Baat jo abhi hame mili hai. We are ecstatic. You know, as you can probably tell, I haven't slept for probably 2 weeks. The lawyers have been working flat out, and the lawyers in Britain, I must put on the record, although they're amazing, and the voluntary efforts of some of these human rights lawyers is exemplary. The real credit has to go to the lawyers on the ground, the lawyers who are fighting not just a legal battle, but they're fighting for their very lives themselves. When I say lives, if the principal lawyer of Imran Khan can be exposed, his own family, to the point where he's renditioned and he's effectively assassinated, then, you know, for those lawyers to carry on doing the fight, standing up in that courtroom, being targets for harassment, etc. And there are many lawyers. I mean, I can't speak all of their names, but you know, people like Gohar Khan, people like Etizaz Essen, people like you know, obviously the legendary Mr. Khwaja Haris. You know, these guys. And my greatest hats off goes to Mr.
The Panjota brothers, don't forget them, please.
Of course, you know, he was beaten, he was bleeding. You know, these are a what I call the A team. We are the B team. The international lawyers were the B team. Yeah, and the media and brave journalists like Mr. Raja, etc. They're the C team. You know, without media and without the legal together, the legal story is suffocated. A lot of the international press is not picking up the story. The wires are not burning. Why are they not burning? This is a massive story. You've got the former Minister of Commerce, a woman who's a United Nations employee, a woman who's a lawyer, qualified, and probably the most articulate, most intelligent, most vociferous fighter for women's rights and for human rights. She has been jailed. I was speaking to her on the phone. She's my main client before I met Mr. Khan. She's the one who introduced me to Mr. Khan. And she was speaking to me on the phone. I can say in Urdu, Wallah, unke in her words, unke alfaz mein, I'll give you precisely, she said in English. And I've actually got the recording. I've got the recording, which with her permission, I will share with you. Yeah. She said, Rashad Saab, dekho, today is the last day of the emergency powers. By midnight tonight, this assembly, this National Assembly is going to be dissolved. This illegal National Assembly is going to be dissolved. Yeah. Once it's dissolved, you know, we can start breathing free again from tomorrow. You know, I've been on the run for 2 months, running from safe house. She's had to rent a house in the middle of nowhere with a poor mother, you know, with their family members. And this woman, this brave heart, yeah, this I would call Sherni of Khan Sahib, she is somebody who has been the brainchild behind reaching out to the international community. She's the brainchild who's reached out to the international lawyers. I didn't, you know, how am I supposed to access PTI's top team who are all in hiding? She's done the outreach because she's got that international experience. So this woman of such quality and such dignity, within 2 hours of me speaking to her, and in a way she's thinking that she's going to enjoy some basic freedoms from I think the day after the National Assembly was going to be dissolved. I get a message straight away because I had a code word for her. I had a code word, in fact, which is just 3 letters. If she's going down, yeah, it reaches my phone. It reached my phone. I'm phoning. I can't get through, etc. But what actually happened was, and it's detailed in the judgment, and it's detailed, is 21 male security officers broke through her home. The landlord apparently tipped off, the security services in the safe house that she was in. They broke through the door. They dragged her out in front of her mother. They beat her cook and her driver. They held her. They snatched all the mobile phones, which is why I couldn't speak. And even my phone, all the WhatsApps were deleted within like 24 hours. Obviously, because they've got my links directly to Shandana's phone. After dragging her out of her own home, they bundled her into a car. They kept the rest of the family for 2 hours hostage so they couldn't alert the lawyers. And then she disappeared into some sort of dark site. And the next thing we got was that she apparently is in Adiala jail. We still haven't got the proof. Apparently she's been put into the death cell. I mean, this is no way. There's no arrest warrant. There's no IG papers. There's no court order. There's no permission slip before you entered into police custody. So this whole drama is just one big shakedown. This is state-sponsored terrorism. And these poor individuals, after spending a week in that prison cell with the hard work of her primary lawyer, Mr. Sherkhan Marwat, who deserves 99% of the credit.
Khan Marwat, ji.
Yes. So this is where we've got to today. Let me just give you a quick summary on the court case. It's very interesting. A petition was filed in relation to questioning the legality of her arrest. You can't actually legally call it an arrest. It's an abduction, okay? Because there's no arrest warrant.
And this you're talking about Shandana Gulzar case only,
Absolutely.
or Shayar Afridi's case as well?
No, I'm just talking for now about Shandana Sabah, okay?
Shandana Gulzar's case, all right.
So that was the first one. Then if you take somebody to a jail and there's no court order, there's no court decision, there's no arrest warrant, that's actually in legal terms, that becomes habeas corpus. It becomes false imprisonment. So this case was petitioned as ultra vires from its very beginning. No case to answer. There's no criminal charges. The judge, may God bless him, yeah, Judge Babar Sattar, yeah, you're a legend. And the Pakistan diaspora, the Pakistan Muslim, the Pakistan community in Pakistan needs to be raising banners in his name. Because this esteemed gentleman, not only did he take it upon himself to...
Please carry on, Rashad bhai. Rashad bhai, your signals are breaking up, I think. Your signals are breaking up. आप लोगों को आवाज आ रही है? जी, please carry on now.
Okay.
Your signals are breaking up. Now we can hear you. Now you're right.
So strike one, this esteemed judge put Shandana Sabah and Shariar out of jail and ordered them to be summoned today before him. God bless him. Number 2, he didn't stop there. He indicated to the IG and the arresting officers that they were in contempt of court and that they were facing serious charges and they've been ordered to appear at the next hearing. And they've been given a stay order where they're unable to leave Islamabad. God bless.
तो जो कुछ आज शंदाना गुलजार के केस में हुआ, रशद यकूब साहब उसके बारे में बात करते हुए बताते हैं कि ये पाकिस्तान में जो इस वक्त एक लॉफेयर शुरू की गई है इंटरनेशनल लॉयर्स तो इसको इंटरनेशनल फोरम्स के ऊपर लेके जा रहे हैं, लेकिन असल बहादुर वो हैं जो पाकिस्तान में खड़े हुए हैं। उनके सब नाम लेके वो बता रहे हैं। शहजादा गुलजार केस में जो हिस्टोरिक जजमेंट है उसका बता रहे हैं कि जस्टिस जो बाबर इफ्तिखार है, उन्होंने किस तरह कितने जबरदस्त तरीके से और कितनी बहादुरी के साथ राजा साहब ने जो है वो इलीगल गैर कानूनी करार दिया है शंदाना गुलजार के साथ। और आई हैव गॉट द सिंगुलर ऑनर, मेरा ये फख्र है कि शंदाना गुलजार के ऊपर जो केस है बगावत का, उसमें मैं उनके साथ शामिल हूँ। मेरे और उनके ऊपर है। तीसरा मखदूम शहाबुद्दीन थे, लेकिन वो शायद मेरे ख्याल में उनकी बचत हो गई है। मैं उसमें प्रोक्लेम्ड ऑफेंडर इन्होंने इकरार मरार दे दिया है। लेकिन बहरहाल शंदाना पाकिस्तान में खड़ी हुई लड़ रही हैं, और उनके केस की जजमेंट के हवाले से वो किस तरह एक तारीखी जजमेंट है ये रशद याकूब बता रहे हैं, और उसका बैनुल अक़वामी सतह के ऊपर कितना बड़ा असर होगा उसका जिक्र कर रहे हैं। रशद भाई प्लीज कंटिन्यू।
So this creates a line in the sand finally. This is now judges standing up for the rights of their civilians. This is where the judges are now saying the state has crossed a line, and the judges are pushing back.
रशद याकूब ये कह रहे हैं कि अब जज साहिबान ने ये कहना शुरू कर दिया है कि स्टेट ऑफ द लाइन है, स्टेट टेररिज्म हो रही है, स्टेट जो करी है वो ठीक नहीं है। और अब जज साहिबान ने खड़ा होना शुरू कर दिया है अवाम के लिए। कब तक चलेगा? जस्टिस साहब को एक इकलौते जस्टिस साहब हैं, जस्टिस बाबर इफ्तिखार के अलावा, बाबर सत्तार के अलावा, राय बाबर सत्तार के अलावा और कोई बंदा ये हिम्मत करेगा, ये जुर्रत करेगा या नहीं करेगा, ये अभी देखना बाकी है। लेकिन बहरहाल ये एक बहुत बड़ी खुशखबरी है कि इस्लामाबाद में बैठे हुए इस्लामाबाद हाई कोर्ट के अंदर जो बातचीत जिस तरह की गई है वो एक बहुत बड़ी खुशखबरी है, वो कोई छोटी मोटी बात नहीं है। रशद भाई जो है वो हमें मेरे ख्याल में उनके सिग्नल्स के इशू हैं, वो हमें ज्वाइन अभी मजीद नहीं कर सके। लेकिन बहरहाल आपने इन लोगों के काम को अगर फॉलो करना है तो मैं एक दफा फिर इनकी वेबसाइट को आपको रेफर करूंगा। रशद भाई ने हमें दोबारा ज्वाइन किया है। प्लीज कंटिन्यू रशद भाई।
So we talked about the three legal outcomes of the court order of today. One,
आप तीन लीगल आउटकम्स की बात कर रहे हैं कोर्ट ऑर्डर की आज जो किया गया। यू विल टॉक इन इंग्लिश, आई विल डेफिनेटली ट्रांसलेट यू बिकॉज़ देयर आर hundreds and thousands of people who really don't understand English, and the circulation of your content grows.
Number one, production order. Judge Justice Babar Sattar gave a production order ordering for Shandana Seba and for our dear Mr. Shahryar Afridi, minister, to be immediately released and produced before him. Okay. The second order he gave, which was in relation to the IG and the arresting officers, was for them to be charged and for them to be remanded not to leave the vicinity of Islamabad until the next hearing. That's a very big, red line.
Big thing. आपने IG को पाबंद कर दिया है कि उनको अगली हेयरिंग तक वो इस्लामाबाद और बाकी जो अफसरान हैं जिन्होंने गिरफ्तारी की वो छोड़ के नहीं जा सकती। बट रशद भाई यहाँ पे मेरा सवाल ये है, आई नो आपको उर्दू समझ आती है।
Can I just give one final?
Please go on.
I just want to be accurate for the record. Yeah. So the third order, which has been given by the judge, which is exemplary, is he's now put a stay of what's called injunction on Shandana being rearrested. Because this
मतलब शंदाना गुलजार को दोबारा अगर गिरफ्तार करने के ऊपर पाबंदी आयद कर दी गई है, ये बात तय होगी। Final question, Rashad Yaqoob. In the international arena, while Pakistan is under state fascism, it is very much clear, and it is under martial law, undeclared neo-martial law, where the intelligence agencies have taken over, overshadowed the law enforcement. Practically, they are carrying out extrajudicial abductions, extrajudicial killings even. You've just talked about one. लोगों के बंदे उठा के मारे हैं, माएं बहनें उठा रहे हैं, तो असल में तो सिक्योरिटी एजेंसियां ISI की तरह की कर रही हैं, असल में तो फौज कर रही है। इनके बारे में पाकिस्तान में तो कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता, वहां तो वो बदमाश है, अंधाता है। तो आप लोगों ने क्या प्लान किया हुआ है इनके खिलाफ जो है बैनुल अक़वामी सतह के ऊपर? क्योंकि ये तो अपने अंग्रेजों को ही अब्बू मानते हैं, अपना मसला गोरों के को ही मानते हैं। आई एम सॉरी फॉर दिस वर्नाकुलर, बट दिस इज द लैंग्वेज ऑफ द कॉमन पीपल। आम आदमी आपसे सवाल ये करता है कि आप क्या कर सकते हैं इनको पटा डालने के लिए जो पाकिस्तान में कुत्ते बावले कुत्ते फिर रहे हैं? जी.
Okay, my answer to that will be fairly legalistic. When we look at, as Human Rights Legal Aid Foundation, when we look at any case, we are non-political, we are non-aligned, we have no association with PTI, nor do we have any association with any of the parties, PDM or People's Party. What we do is we have a very simple formula. We say if a crime has been committed anywhere in the world and individuals are unable to access justice, either because they can't get lawyers or they can't get funding to get the lawyers they need to use local law or international law, then we step in. How do we step in? We do two things. One, we launch fundraising to enable those victims of human rights who, and just for the record, Mr. Khan is not in this category. So you have to be financially of no means before we're able to fundraise for the poor women in Pakistan, the poor children prisoners who are in Pakistan, to be able to access our approved lawyers. We vet the lawyers to make sure that the right lawyers ideologically are civil liberties focused. So that's our constitutional approach as an organization. Now, you've mentioned a number of interesting potential allegations. We cannot make any allegations unless we have the proof of law. What we can do, however, if any individuals such as Mr. Khan or Ms. Shandana make allegations which are which can be investigated, which can be proven in a court of law, what we call chain of command theory, yeah, under international law. And the chain of command came actually from the Nuremberg trials, where lots of Nazi defenses were lower ranking soldiers. Was, well, we just got an order, we're just following orders, so we had no choice. But the way the international law works since the Nuremberg trials is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're just a low-end soldier or a high-end. The law follows, just like you follow the money, you follow the order. So anybody who's in that chain of ordering is potentially exposing themselves to the international war or international criminal prosecution system. And I won't really say much more than that at this stage. But what I will say is, as far as HRLF is concerned and our lawyers, our fight is not against any of the respected and established institutions of Pakistan. We have no fight against the Pakistan Army, who most of our experience has been are very sophisticated and are very educated and are incredibly brave soldiers, and including a lot of the generals and a lot of the intelligentsia there. They are nationalists, and every time we've had freedom of movement and we've visited Pakistan, I've had nothing but praise for their professionalism. Secondly, when it comes to politicians, or when it comes to other elements, other organs of state, there's a new caretaker government in power. We are not in the business of suing the Pakistan government, and holding holding vicariously good, decent civilian civil servants responsible for the actions of one or two individuals. Remember, if one or two individuals commit a crime, they should be individually prosecuted. They should be individually sanctioned, and they should be individually jailed. I mean, the law, you have to follow the law. We can get jazbati, we can get very emotional,
मतलब
etc.
याकूब भाई, एक शख्स इदारा नहीं है. आप ये कहना चाह रहे हैं कि शख्स का जो जुर्म है वो इदारे का जुर्म नहीं है. उस शख्स को हम इंटरनेशनल क्रिमिनल कोर्ट में भी लेके जा सकते हैं इन्वेस्टिगेशन करके, लेकिन वो शख्स इदारा नहीं है. और इलीगल ऑर्डर्स मानने वाला जो है वो क्राइम कमिट कर रहा है. ये समरी ठीक है अब लेमैन टर्म के अंदर?
Absolutely. So I mean, if I were to give a free legal advice to any officer in the chain of command, you are not immune. You are not immune from international law, nor are you immune from Pakistani law. So let me also perhaps just put out there another
these
important.
people, ये जिनका आप बात कर रहे हो, इनकी तो प्रॉपर्टी सारी इंटरनेशनल है, इन्होंने तो पाकिस्तान से बाहर अपने एसेट्स रखे हुए हैं और इनकी इम्यूनिटी नहीं है
Yeah.
इंटरनेशनल लॉ से कहीं पे भी.
Well, what we specialize in and what our legal team have the ability to do is obviously to hire forensic asset tracers. Yeah, we're able, we're able to look at global assets of individuals. Once an individual has clearly committed a crime and that crime is documented, there are witnesses, there's an email trail, there's paper trail, and it could be a financial crime, or it could be a conspiracy crime. It could be a murder. It could be a extrajudicial assassination hit on somebody like a journalist such as Mr. Arshad Sharif, yeah, marhum, and someone like Imran Riaz, who's obviously disappeared. These individuals are clearly.
In the case of Imran Riaz, his Rashad, Mr. Rashad, in the case of Imran Riaz, his barrister went into negotiations with his captives who were keeping him illegally, extrajudiciously, and he went into negotiations with them. Do you think going into negotiations with the captives, with the kidnappers, is a good strategy because they don't have any legal authority to kidnap him?
Well, I can't comment on that case because that's not one of the cases which is under the purview of HRLAF. What I will say again is to remind anybody who thinks kidnapping in Pakistan is something which is a domestic issue and that they can get away with it. No. Imran Riaz Khan is an internationally well-known, well-respected journalist. It doesn't matter that he's been outspoken against the government. He has, under Pakistan's own articles of constitutional law, he has the right of freedom of expression, whether it's freedom of protest or just freedom of information, like any other journalist. So if anybody thinks that they can hide away in Pakistan and enjoy the protection of the current, current situation, then they need to think again. There's still time. There's an opportunity to release Mr. Riaz Khan, to allow him to go back to normal life. And if these individuals and these perpetrators really want to get away with it, that's the best way to move forward. Release him simply by, in any public place, and let him make contact with his dear family. So we've dealt with kidnap situations before. They're very, very sensitive. I'm very reluctant to comment upon them from a legal point of view. But what I will say is that the individuals responsible, whoever has ordered this or instructed this, that information can be investigated, and if proven, can easily be referred to any of the international courts which practice universal jurisdiction.
I'm sure Imran Riaz Khan's legal team is doing everything within their power to get him safely back home, and that is why they're doing what they're doing. Considering the circumstances in Pakistan, it has to be a bit unconventional. They have to improvise stuff. I mean, everything is not to the book, and we understand that leverage has to be given to Imran Riaz Khan's legal team. Fine, but they should follow a legal discourse instead of the negotiations path, maybe. This is my personal opinion. Any final comments, Rashad Yaqoob bhai?
Well, I would just ask the whole nation's prayers and du'as for the people who've been released. Mr. Shariar and Chandana, I'm sure, have been, been through a very, very tough psychological process. So I'm sure their prayers would be appreciated. And I think we move our focus onto our next captain. Now that Chandana is out, and now that Shariar is out, and inshallah they remain out, our full focus will be on our captain. So Mr. Imran Khan, as you know, is already entering a number of weeks of illegal and false detention. Our case strategy has argued from day one the arrest was unlawful. It was issued by the wrong district. A district in Islamabad cannot order an arrest for somebody who's in Lahore. There's no court order for the arrest warrant to be issued using police officers in Lahore. When it comes to the actual filing of the entire case, the Election Commission, which is effectively the plaintiff who's bringing an action through criminal courts against Mr. Khan, this institution has a set number of days within which to file a criminal complaint. I'm not going to bore you with the detail, but they were out of date by weeks, months even, when they filed a case. And therefore, that case becomes ultra vires. You can't file a case against somebody who's filled out the Form B, a couple of years or a year later. The individual has to be given the opportunity to answer a case against him. And so that entire case appears to be fabricated and messed up and bodged up. So it's quite interesting that every time they do try and make a move, I don't know whether it's divine intervention. Maybe Imran Saab has got some sort of special guardian angels, but it's the hands and the actions of his perpetrators are the ones that give him the legal right to actually challenge them. So that's one thing. On Friday, we are hoping with the hard work again that his legal team are doing on the ground in partnership with the team that we have assembled in London. We have Ben Emerson, King's Counsel. We have Gareth Pearce, and these people are working and burning the midnight oil in order to prepare a Supreme Court application similar to the Shandana case, where we are arguing enough is enough. There's no point fighting the case at the High Court level. You're not going to get justice. Yeah, we need to take this to the Supreme Court and apply to the Supreme Court to set aside the entire bastion, the entire plethora, the hundreds of cases against Mr. Khan have to be set aside by the Supreme Court. I mean, it's a joke. It's become a laughing stock that one individual is facing almost 200 cases against him. Yeah, so it's essential now that the people of Pakistan, the ordinary citizens of Pakistan, use their democratic voices to email and write to the new caretaker prime minister. We have no reason to believe this individual, who I believe is a highly educated professional appointment, he will not take the complaints of not just our lawyers, but the complaints of the masses of people in Pakistan and the masses of people in the UK and America seriously. And maybe Major Saab, if after the broadcast, you can put out the email address for the Prime Minister's office, maybe even the Attorney General's office, and maybe even the Foreign Minister's office, to directly by email, rather than going out on the street and protesting. Focus your attention on saving Mr. Khan. Yeah, and you can do that by lobbying directly Pakistan government, who are a new government now. And let's pray for a fresh chapter in Pakistan's history. The judge today restored my faith. Yeah, he restored my faith in Pakistan justice, and I'm really hoping and praying on Friday, with the nation's duas behind our Chief Justice, that the Supreme Court will demonstrate to the world that Pakistani justice is not dead. It went through a rocky period. It was interfered with by different individuals, and they're now fighting back. So God bless those judges, and God give them the strength and the conviction to stand by the sword of justice. I'll just make one final comment. This case, as you know, is 1/3 law, 1/3 media, and 1/3 political lobbying. That's the case with any international high-profile case of a political prisoner. Now, the same thing happened to Mr. Khan, happened to Nelson Mandela. The ANC was declared an illegal party, and the white South African Afrikaner racist regime attempted their best to dismantle the party by removing the leader and putting him in Robben Island. So what happened? As a response to that, the South African civil rights movement partnered with the civil rights movement in London. They launched the South African Legal Aid Fund for Mandela. They raised millions throughout the world, and with those millions, they hired the best of the best of the best. Yeah, and you know the history. You know how the story ends. Through the efforts of the South African Legal Aid Fund, Mandela, the giant of democracy, the giant of civil rights movement, a leader of the
let me
nation.
let me tell this in Urdu. Let me translate it in Urdu. राशिद याकूब ये कह रहे हैं कि जो मंडेला, जब नेल्सन मंडेला को साउथ अफ्रीका में बंद किया गया था, तो उन्होंने एक साउथ अफ्रीका लीगल फंड क्रिएट किया था, और उस साउथ अफ्रीका लीगल फंड के जरिए उन्होंने दुनिया के टॉप बैरिस्टर्स को, ह्यूमन राइट्स लॉयर को इकट्ठा करके पूरी दुनिया के कोर्ट्स के अंदर जाके जो है वो लॉफेयर लॉन्च की थी। तब नेल्सन मंडेला आजाद हुए थे और साउथ अफ्रीका को आजादी मिली थी गोरे के राज से, वहां का जो गोरे हैं बोर्स के राज से। इसी तरह अब पाकिस्तान की हकीकी आजादी के लिए पाकिस्तान लीगल फंड लॉन्च किया है, जो कि आपको इस वक्त नजर आ रहा है। ये पाकिस्तान लीगल फंड, मैं आपको बार बार ये इसलिए दिखा रहा था, ये पाकिस्तान लीगल फंड जो है, इसके ऊपर आप जाएं, मैं आपकी इसको वेबसाइट एड्रेस में आपको पहले भी बता चुका हूं, मैं आपको मजीद इसका बाकायदा वेबसाइट एड्रेस जो है वो इस वक्त आपको दिखा देता हूं, डिस्प्ले कर देता हूं, ताकि आपको नजर आए। ये आपको नीचे वेबसाइट एड्रेस नजर आ रहा है, hrlaf.com। ये पाकिस्तान ह्यूमन राइट्स, ये लीगल फंड जो है, लीगल एसोसिएशन फाउंडेशन जो है, इन्होंने पाकिस्तान लीगल फंड लॉन्च किया है, बिल्कुल उसी तरह जिस तरह साउथ अफ्रीका का एक लीगल फंड लॉन्च किया गया था। और लीगल लड़ाई से पाकिस्तान को आजाद, कायदे आजम एक वकील थे, वकीलों ने एक लीगल लड़ाई से आजाद करवाया था, और कोई तरीका नहीं है, ठीक है। पाकिस्तान को लीगल लड़ाई से आजाद करवाया गया था, लॉफुल तरीके से कायदे आजम ने आजाद करवाया था। अब पाकिस्तान की हकीकी आजादी भी हकीकी मानों में सिर्फ आप लीगल तरीके से ही उसको ले सकते हैं, अदालतों के अंदर लॉफेयर के जरिए कानून ही आप जीत सकते हैं। और कानूनी जंग एक चीज है, उसके साथ पब्लिक की सपोर्ट है, वो मौजूद है। लेकिन तीसरी अहम तरीन चीज फंड है, जो फंड क्रिएट हो, मिलियंस ऑफ डॉलर का फंड उन्होंने क्रिएट किया था साउथ अफ्रीका वालों ने, उसी तरह पाकिस्तान लीगल फंड जो है वो लॉन्च किया गया है। और ऑलरेडी ये कोई काम ये नहीं है कि पहले फंड लॉन्च किया गया है और काम बाद में कर रहे हैं, काम पहले ये कर चुके हैं, काम इन्होंने शुरू कर दिया है, उसके रिजल्ट नजर आना शुरू हो गए हैं। अब भी आपसे मांगते हैं कि अब आप लोग उठें, ओवरसीज पाकिस्तानीज इन पर्टिकुलर, पाकिस्तान लीगल फंड के जरिए ये लॉफेयर होएगी, और इस लॉफेयर को बकायदा फुली ट्रांसपेरेंट ये फंड होगा, और एक एक चीज एक्शन जो है वो रेगुलरली रिपोर्ट होगा, इनकी वेबसाइट पे रिपोर्ट होगा। यू कैन डायरेक्टली कॉन्टेक्ट देम, यू कैन आस्क देम, यू कैन चेक आउट द प्रोग्रेस, ग्राउंड पे प्रोग्रेस आपको नजर आएगी। लेकिन पाकिस्तान की हकीकी आजादी एक कानूनी जंग के जरिए ही हासिल की जा सकती है, जो बैनुल-अक़वामी सतह के ऊपर लड़ी जाएगी, और फिर पाकिस्तान के अंदर भी लड़ी जाएगी, जो लड़ी जा रही है। लेकिन इसको बैनुल-अक़वामी सतह पे ले जाने के लिए अहम तरीन जो किरदार है वो इस वक्त यहाँ पे पाकिस्तान लीगल फंड जो है वो इसको अदा कर रहा है। और उसके अंदर ये जो आपका जो ह्यूमन राइट्स लीगल एड फाउंडेशन है, ये इन्होंने लॉन्च किया है, जो पाकिस्तान लीगल फंड। और इसके अंदर इनके जो पार्टनर्स हैं, सिर्फ आप उनको देख लें, इनके जो पार्टनर्स हैं, जो इनके स्ट्रेटेजिक अलायंस है, वो बर्नबर्ग पियर्स है, रिपोर्टर्स सैंस फ्रंटियर्स, आरएसएफ है, एमनेस्टी इंटरनेशनल है, जो पाकिस्तान लीगल फंड के स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनर्स है। और ये रास्ता है, आप कहते हैं ना कि यार रास्ता राह दसो, जाना किधर है, वो तुम दस रहे हैं कितने जाना है यार, आपने जाना है नहीं जाना, फैसला आपने करना है। और ये तरीका है आगे बढ़ने का। और पाकिस्तान की आजादी कायदे आजम ने जो है वो हमें दिलवाई थी, किस तरह दिलवाई थी अजीजान मन, कानूनी जंग के जरिए दिलवाई थी। और अब पाकिस्तान की हकीकी आजादी जो है वो जर्नैली टोले से, या जो भी है इसके ऊपर सिस्टम माल फंक्शन है, या जो भी है, ठीक है, या क्लैप्टोक्रेसी है, या 22 खानदान है, जिस मर्जी को आप कह लो ना, ये हकीकी आजादी रूल ऑफ लॉ, सुप्रीमेसी ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एक लीगल लॉफेयर के जरिए ही हासिल की जा सकती है। और वो यहाँ पे हम करने जा रहे हैं। दिस इज द एंटायर क्रक्स ऑफ द स्टोरी। एनीथिंग यू नीड टू ऐड रशद भाई, प्लीज?
Well, I think, Major, we should hire you as a public relations officer. I think you seem to have covered. You seem to have covered. You seem to have covered everything better than us, even though we've only met. We've never met, and we don't know each other. You know, I think the divine forces of, shall we say, justice bring good people together. I would just like to end by just a personal note, if you don't mind. Yeah. I have no relationship with Mr. Khan. I have no relationship with with the PTI. I'm just an ordinary lawyer who happened to be an investment banker. Was blessed with a very strong financial past, and it was only myself when I personally became, and I was living a very blessed life in one of the top city law firms, doing banking, Islamic finance, great salary, living the life. It was only when I got involved in a case which involved a number of British young men who were arrested in Yemen on death row. And when I actually was personally arrested myself, and I ended up being persecuted in a 6x3 chicken wire torture cell in Yemen, it was only then I actually empathized with what it means to be a victim of human rights. Everybody says, "Oh, it's going to happen, to somebody else." मैंने कुछ नहीं होता, I'm ठीक, मैं ठीक हूँ, yeah. हम बस खामोश रहो, अपना काम करो, keep your head down. That mentality, I was of the same mentality. It was only when I personally tasted at the hands of, a particular Yemeni interrogation officer, what it feels like to be tortured, that when I came out, I made a promise. I made a promise in that cell to myself that, Allah Mia, if I ever get out of this cell and live to tell my story, I will dedicate 50% of my life to your cause of justice, which is providing access to justice. When you're sitting in that prison cell and you can't phone anybody, you can't access a lawyer, you can't do a media interview, and your entire hand, you're educated lawyer, you think you're a big shot, and you're sitting in a Yemen, and the guy with slippers with the Kalashnikov has got your life in his hands. And that's what it's like in these Pakistani jails right now. Somebody as eminent as an ex-prime minister, I mean, I don't need to even bother going through the litany of his achievements. But, an international sports star, somebody who's got the eloquence to speak at the United Nations and look at everybody in the eye directly, shake hands with somebody like Trump at an equal level, Putin at an equal level, and not compromise the dignity of his nation. That's a once in a lifetime leader. And that precious leader, he's given up all the trappings of the Mayfair lifestyle, the goldsmith's, fortune, the ease of life that most sports celebrities enjoy. And he's chosen to be ridiculed and to be laughed at for 25 years. When everyone said, "Kuch nahi honda, mazak hi hai," yeah? And yet he broke through all of that, gradually, fearlessly, bringing the nation. And then he even won the respect of the establishment. He won the respect, obviously, of the army. He won the respect of the civic institutions where they did not oppose his democratic election. So we're not talking about some tin pot dictator here. We're talking about a popularly elected, loved leader of a nation. He is the de facto Nelson Mandela of Pakistan. Let's make that clear. He's not a prime minister. He's not a president. He's a movement. He is. I am Imran Khan. People are saying he is a message of hope, of freedom, of democracy, and rule of law. Now, for this individual to be sitting in a cell with insects, with food that he's not even allowed his wife, which is cooked with her, loving hands for him, she's not even allowed to give this guy, the ex-prime minister of this country, food from her hand. This is a crime against humanity. This is inhumane and degrading treatment, because his maqam, his level, his respect should be not somebody who's a category C prisoner. And if you want to know when I got involved and what inspired me, because I had no PTI or personal relationship with Mr. Khan, it was the sight of seeing this 72-year-old man, what I would call the father of the nation, being dragged summarily by what looked from a BBC report, what looked like a bunch of beetles, dung beetles,
who were just grabbing him, dragging him, and pushing him. And yet he still kept his kind of, shall we say, regal stature. You know, he didn't fall, he didn't trip, he didn't complain. You know, he kept his shades on in the court when they came and they were ransacking. And this is a man on a mission. This man is divinely chosen to do something. And if this nation does not stand behind this individual, if the overseas Pakistanis do not rally, and we are giving you a legal mechanism, we're giving you an avenue to pour your, love, pour your support, pour your solidarity, to show Khan Sahib that when you were the Prime Minister and you were shouting on our behalf to the United Nations and so on, yeah? Now that you're inside prison, I want every single one of you, because I'm one of those people, I want you to make a commitment right now, today. I want you to make a commitment. You're seeing his face there. Are you tired of, yeah, Khan Sahib's face is there. I want you to make a commitment between you, Khan Sahib, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want you to promise Khan Sahib in your dua to him today that you're not gonna just talk and stand by. You're gonna reach into your pocket. You're gonna take out whatever you can afford: £5, £10, £100, £1,000. You know, £5 from a rickshaw driver is equal to 100,000 from a big businessman. So Allah will judge us all according to our limited means. But just go to the website, even if you can't get through to the banking system at the moment because we've been blocked. And don't worry, we've been blocked many times. We always find a way around it. Yeah. But look, fill out our pledge form and just show Khan Sahib. I'm going to be sending a message to him tomorrow through his lawyer when he goes to visit him. I want to give him a gift. I want, through his lawyer, Sher Khan Sahib tomorrow, to say to Khan Sahib, the international public opinion is mobilizing. The international public opinion is stepping up. They've been inspired by the success we had with, cases like Shandana Seba, cases like Shayrara Afridi. If we can achieve that in the last 4 weeks with a very, very limited budget, very limited, yeah, most of the lawyers working for free. Imagine what we can do. Imagine what we can do. If there's probably 1 million viewers here right now, and each of you gave £1, we're done. We're done. I already have hired them. Yeah, I will release the very best top legal minds in the world. I'm talking about people like Amal Clooney. I'm talking about Ben Emerson. I'm talking about people like Michael Mansfield. I'll release these warriors for justice on the international court stage. Right now, we are holding back. Why? Because we love and we respect the Pakistan legal system. So all of our focus as international lawyers is to support the domestic lawyers, the real fighters, the real frontline tigers. Yeah, so protect those, but you can send us the funding and we will ensure that funding goes to those local lawyers first. Just like Khan Sahib said, free the women first. In the same way, we say fund the local lawyers to make sure that they can feed their children, that the children can go to school while they're fighting the cases for people like Khan Sahib and others. Number one. Number two, once we are done on the domestic side, and then we will then go on to the international stage. And at that point, in order to hire these big guns, I want you to show Khan Sahib your love and solidarity by funding the HRILAF.com, funding us directly in terms of direct debits. Small amount, £5 a month, £10 a month, but make it regular and make sure that when you give with a clear intention. The clear intention that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless this very humble effort. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide the lawyers, the management team, my board members, my patrons to do a job. And what's amazing is that a lot of the people in my organization are not Pakistani. They're not Muslim. They are pure human rights. And that is something which you have to join. You as supporters of the overseas Pakistanis, we've got the freedom. I mean, look at the freedom we enjoy. Did I know that I was going to be born in London, and I was going to have the freedom that I enjoy. I was going to be educated at the top universities. I'm going to be working in the top law firms. No, I could have been born back in Bahawalpur, in Rawalpindi, in Islamabad, and I'll be suffering the same gag on my ability to move. So this responsibility is on the overseas Pakistanis. The overseas Pakistanis don't take for granted that we've been sent overseas and that we're all right, Jack. No, 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 no. Our duty of care to our fellow Pakistanis is greater because we are not oppressed. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask us on the day of judgment that you were sent a leader like a Mandela, a gift to the nation. What did you do to stand up to give these people their day in court? On that point, thank you very much, Major Raja. I thank your viewers, and I hope they will follow us very carefully. Our journey, this is just the first couple of weeks. This is a long journey ahead, and we're looking forward to your support, your love, and most importantly, your duas. God bless.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, थैंक यू सो वेरी मच मिस्टर रशद याकूब। आपका, आपकी टीम का पाकिस्तान के हकीकी आज़ादी के लिए जो कानूनी जंग है, मैं तो उसमें आपके साथ हूँ। बेतहाशा मैसेजेस यहाँ पे, अवश्य हमारे पास टाइम होता है, 1 घंटे से ऊपर हमारी ब्रॉडकास्ट चली गई है और मैं इस वक्त सड़क के किनारे खड़े होकर जो है ये काम कर रहा हूँ। मेरे पास मेरी बैटरीज जो है वो सारी खत्म होने वाली हैं, इसलिए मैं वो मैसेजेस आपको नहीं दिखा सकता। लोग आपके साथ हैं, लोग जो है वो सलाम करते हैं आप लोगों को और लोग बिल्कुल आपके साथ हैं और बिल्कुल इंशाल्लाह इसको हम कंटिन्यू रखेंगे, इस सफर को, इस हकीकी आजादी के सफर को। और हकीकी आजादी हम इंशाल्लाह इस कानूनी जंग के जरिए हासिल करेंगे और ये हमारा आपसे वादा है। दिस इज व्हाट Mr. Rashad Yaqoob's message was entirely all about। पूरी टीम मैंने आपको उनको दिखाई है, मजीद लोग उस टीम को ज्वाइन भी कर रहे हैं, हम उसके साथ वॉलंटियर्स हैं, आप भी वॉलंटियर बने। फाइनेंशियल सपोर्ट एक छोटी सी चीज है, उससे आगे बढ़ के भी सपोर्ट करें, लेकिन फाइनेंशियल सपोर्ट सबसे पहली चीज भी है, ये बात भी ध्यान में रखिएगा। वो भी साथ साथ इनको
Can
करें।
I just announce on Monday in Parliament Square, if anybody's free, please come down at 11 sharp. There'll be a press conference where the launch of the Pakistan Legal Fund and the results of the Supreme Court will be announced. So 11 o'clock this coming Monday, Parliament Square. Be there and show your solidarity. God bless. I have to jump onto another call. There's a call from the BBC now, and we shall be hopefully speaking on a more regular basis. Mr. Raja, God bless. Thank you for the opportunity.
फी अमान अल्लाह। अजीज़ान मन, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका। फी अमान अल्लाह।